Welcome. Today we're diving into something I think you'll find fascinating: blueprints for breakdown. We're going to uncover this really surprising link between two things that seem worlds apart: a failed perfect society and a single broken system inside our own brain. And this connection, well, it tells us something pretty profound about how complex systems really work. So that brings us right to our big question. What on earth can a failed perfect society teach us about a broken brain? I know, it sounds like a riddle, right? But stick with me, because the answer is actually incredibly elegant. All right, let's get into it. And we're going to start big. I mean, society level big. We'll explore this idea of a perfect world. And more importantly, why those incredible grand plans so often just fall apart. You know, this dream of a perfect world, a utopia, it's not new. It's been around for centuries, going all the way back to Thomas More. The whole idea was to create this perfect blueprint, right? A flawless map for an ideal society where everything just clicks into place, like a heaven on earth, all designed by pure reason. But that dream eventually started to go a little sour. By the time we get to the 20th century, you have writers like George Orwell and Aldous Huxley who took that utopian blueprint and just completely flipped it on its head. They started asking, what would actually happen if you tried to force this perfect plan on real people? And the results? They weren't heavens, they were nightmares, dystopias. So why do these fictional utopias always seem to fail? Well, it turns out the flaws are always kind of the same. The blueprints are just too rigid. They treat society like it's some simple machine you can just build piece by piece, and they completely ignore the messy, unpredictable, complex reality of actual human beings. It's like having this beautiful, perfect map that has absolutely zero connection to the real world. And the source material just nails it here. When you have these grand designs for a perfect world that clash with the reality of human nature, they end up becoming nothing more than useless schemes. They're a blueprint for a building that just can't be built. Okay, now for a big pivot. We're going to zoom way, way in. From the huge scale of society down to the intricate world inside our own heads. We're going to look at another kind of blueprint, the one for language in the brain. We're talking about a condition called aphasia. It's this really fascinating and often incredibly frustrating disorder where the brain's ability to handle language gets all scrambled. But here's the crucial thing to understand. It doesn't touch a person's intelligence. The thoughts are still there, the person is still there, it's just the connection to the words that's been severed. And the experience can leave someone, as the source puts it, truly at a loss for words. Just try to imagine that for a second. Knowing exactly what you want to say, all the thoughts, all the feelings, but you just can't find the words to get it out. It's like being trapped behind a wall of glass. So this is where our whole understanding of language gets a major update. You see, early on, scientists might have thought language was just one single thing in the brain, but now we know it's way more complex. It's more like a delicate web of language networks, all interconnected across the brain. And this slide just illustrates that web so perfectly. Look at these two key areas, Broca's area and Wernicke's area. They do totally different jobs. Broca's area is like the coordinator. It handles the physical mechanics of speaking. Wernicke's is the interpreter. It's what attaches meaning to the words. So if you damage one, you can't get the words out. But if you damage the other, the words come out, but they're just nonsense. So the key thing to get here is that a break in this web has super specific results. Depending on where that web gets damaged, the outcome is completely different. It's just like our dystopias, right? You can't understand the failure unless you understand the incredibly complex system underneath. The simple idea of a single language center is just as flawed as a single plan for a perfect society. Okay, so we've looked at a failed world, and we've looked at a failing brain. Now, let's pull these two broken blueprints together and see what they really show us about how complex systems work, and, of course, how they break. This table really just lays it all out nice and clear. On one side, you've got the dystopian society. The flawed blueprint, a rigid, top-down plan. The reality, a messy, complex web of human needs. Then, on the other side, you have the brain with aphasia. The flawed blueprint, that language is just a single function. The reality, a delicate web of interconnected language networks. Do you see it? It's the exact same pattern. So what this all boils down to is this one crucial point. Complex systems, whether they're societies or brains, aren't defined by some simple overarching plan. They're defined by their thousands and thousands of delicate connections. The web is always more important than the map. And here it is, the big takeaway. It really doesn't matter if you're trying to build a world or trying to understand a mind. If you ignore that intricate, messy, beautiful web of connections and instead choose to use a simple, clean, and ultimately false map, well, that's a recipe for disaster. That is the lesson of the broken blueprints. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When you look at the world around you, our ecosystems, our economies, even our own relationships, what delicate webs are we trying to manage with a dangerously simple blueprint? What are we taking for granted?